जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जयो प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा, प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा। जयो जयो प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय नित्य लीला ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणार विंद भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांता सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी क्षेत्र की जय। गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय। वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। श्री श्री किशोर किशोरी की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। गौर निताय की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीमुत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपपदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. Today we will be discussing Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto 68th chapter verse number 40 and 41. I'll chant the verse. Please chant responsively. Adya nishkauravam prithvim karishyamiti amarsita गृहीत्वा हलम् उत्साहो दहन् इव जगत्त्रयम्। अद्य निष्कौरवं पृथ्वीं करिष्यामीति अमर्षिता गृहीत्वा हलम् उत्सात्वा दहन् इव जगत्त्रयम्। अद्य निष्कौरवं पृथ्वीं करिष्यामीति अमर्षिता गृहीत्वा हलम् उत्सात्वा दहन् इव जगत्त्रयम्। आद्य निष्कौरवं पृथ्वीं करिष्यामि अमर्षिता निहितमाला तत्सत्त्वं जलैव जगत्त्रयम् अद्य निष्कौरवं पृथ्वीं हरिष्यामि अमर्षिता हित्वा हलम् उत्साहस्तवौ दहनैव जगत्त्रयम् अद्य निष्कौरवं पृथ्वीं करिष्यामीति अमर्षिता गृहीत्वा हलमुतस्तथौ दहनैव जगत्त्रयम् अद्य निष्कौरवं पृथ्वीं करिष्यामीति अमर्षिता गृहीत्वा हलमुतस्तथौ दहनैव जगत्त्रयम्. Word to word meaning: Adya, today, Nishkauravam, devoid of Kauravas, Prithvim, the earth, Karishyami, I shall make, Iti, thus speaking, Amarsita, angry, Grihitva, taking, Halam, his plough, Utast, how he stood, Dahan, burning, Iva, as if, Jagat, the worlds, Trayam, three. Translation: Today I shall ride the earth of the Kauravas, declared the furious Balram. Thus he took his plough, weapon, and rose up as if to set the three worlds ablaze. Verse number 41. Langalangrena nagaram udvidarya jagavayam vichakarsa cha gangayam praharsiyan amarsita. Translation: The Lord angrily dug up Hastinapur with the tip of his plough and began to drag it, intending to cast the entire city into the Ganges. Purport: Srila Prabhupada writes as follows: Lord Balaram seemed so furious that he looked as if he could burn the whole cosmic creation to ashes. He stood up and steadily, and taking his plough in his hand, began striking the earth with it. In this way, the whole city of Hastinapur was separated from the earth. Lord Balram then began to drag the city towards the flowing water of the river Ganges. Because of this, there was a great tremor throughout Hastinapur, as if there had been an earthquake, and it seemed the whole city would be dismantled. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that by the Lord's desire, his plough had increased in size, and that as Balram began dragging Hastinapur towards the water, he ordered the Ganges, except for Samba, you should attack and kill everyone in the city with your water. Thus he would fulfill his promise to rid the earth of the Kauravas while making sure that nothing bad would happen to Samba. Thus ends the purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai. So these two verses is about the prowess of Lord Balaram when he initially goes as a mediator to solve the issue between Kauravas and Yadus, because Krishna's son, Krishna's son took liking to Krishna's son Samba took liking to Duryodhana's daughter, and instead of participating in the Swayamvar ceremony, he kidnapped Duryodhana's daughter and went and tried to go back to Dwaraka, but he was caught by many warriors. Karna, Bhishma, I think Dronacharya was also present, and he was kept as a prisoner. So when Krishna heard this news, he Lord Balram Lord Balram asked that he wanted to go and mediate and get Samba back. So Lord Balram is taking the job of a mediator. I was uh, I was listening to the lecture on verse number 40 by His Holiness Hanumat Prasaka Swami, and he was talking about that Lord Balram you takes the job of mediator, in a sense that all the living entities have deals with Balram first. As Guru, he mediates between the conditioned soul and and Krishna. So Krishna doesn't really directly deal with what happens in material world, and so Maharaj was mentioning that Balram is our way to approach Krishna. As we become more and more purified in the mode of goodness, we are able to perceive the pastimes of Lord Krishna. It's difficult to understand these pastimes, because if we consider Bhishma Dev as Mahajan, as person we should be following footsteps of, and then how is that possible that Bhishma Dev Bhishma Dev approved of Lord Balram being insulted in such manners by Duryodhana, and Dhritarashtra was also present. All the all the leaders of the Kaurav dynasty were present there. How is that Bhishma Dev allowed such insult to happen to Kauravas? So why is this? It is because of Yoga Maya. All the pastimes that Krishna wants to perform in material world, when pure devotees are involved, they seemingly forget of the fact that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Uh, Lord Balram is the supreme personality of Servitor Godhead, and they allow these incidents to happen so that Lord can give conditioned soul a lesson. So then Maharaj was mentioning the story. It was near the temple in Texas, Dallas, that there were some homeless people trying to harass a woman. So when the police officers came, the moment the homeless people saw the police officer, he was like 6 feet and he had a big weapon, and so automatically the homeless people sobered up. The intoxication of enviousness of their prowess all goes away. So it's the same similarity analogy Maharaj was trying to give, that what happened when Lord Balram was present. When Lord Balram took his plow and began to drag the whole city of Hastinapur, and swore that none of the Kauravas will be alive because of what all they have done. They have disrespected Krishna, they have disrespected Yadus, they do not deserve to live. So as soon as the Hastinapur began trembling, and Lord Balram was taking the whole city to Ganges to drown it, all the Kauravas came and apologized to Lord Balram, tried to pacify Lord Balram. And in this, specifically in this incident, His Holiness Bhanu Swami says that Lord, Lord Balram's prowess, all the Kauravas were aware of that. But there is a tradition, sometimes in marriage, there is fighting ceremony between the bride and groom side. And Kauravas just wanted to see the prowess and the display of the might of Lord Balram. And as soon as they were able to see it, they were pacified and then they apologized. So this was one of the reasons why Bhishma Dev and other Bhishma Dev, Kripacharya, who is also in Kaurava's side, and Dronacharya, they allowed such incidents to happen because they wanted to see the prowess and might of glorification of Lord Balaram. So uh, there was one story that Maharaj was talking about was sometimes it's hard to understand when certain incidents happen, that who is responsible for it. Is Krishna making this happen? Those incidents that are not comprehensible. And is Krishna causing this? Is Maya involved in this? Is there something that is my character defects are causing such incidents? So uh, Maharaj gave a story about in Atlanta when the at Prabhupada time when there was a big fire sacrifice uh, that was going to happen, and so they printed in newspaper, and there was going to be a live coverage to the first sacrifice from uh, in North America is going to happen, and a holy man from India is going to come, and it was really well broadcasted, and the mayor also came, but the the reality was it was the first time such fire sacrifice was going to happen. So certainly the devotees did not know everything. So where to put the coconut, how the fire sacrifice actually happens. And when Prabhupada came, Prabhupada was saying, why you're doing this, why you're doing this is supposed to happen this way, this is supposed to happen this way. And seemingly Prabhupada looked angry. So at that time there was a Bhakta Leroy. He was his service was to fan Srila Prabhupada. So he was fanning Srila Prabhupada, but Prabhupada seemed angry, and the yagna was happening, the fire sacrifice was happening. So Bhakta Leroy said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, why don't you just chant Hare Krishna? So all the devotees saw Prabhupada, and they thought that now Bhakta Leroy will be chastised severely, suggesting and giving instructions to the spiritual master what or what he should not do. But Prabhupada looked at Bhakta Leroy, and he saw that Krishna is speaking to him through Bhakta Leroy, and Prabhupada put his hand in the chanting bag and he started chanting Hare Krishna. And said, yes, yeah, devotees are doing the best they can. It's the first time they're organizing the fire sacrifice. So just stressing that whatever negative circumstances or difficult, challenging circumstances happen, the hand of Krishna is always there. And Maharaj talked about when we are in difficult times, what we do is actually comes in the end to our free will. That all the living entities have come to this material world exercising their free will, that they wanted to lord over material nature. So if there are any if there anything negative that happens, it's incorrect to blame Krishna for it. So there is one pastime in which Lord Balram, see, Krishna has his own gopis, Lord Balram has his own set of gopis. So when Lord Balram visits Vrindavan from Dwarka, also bringing Krishna's message to the gopis and the Damvasis, he was enjoying pastimes with his set of gopis, and he was drinking Varuni. It's a celestial drink. It's a transcendental intoxicant. And when so Prabhupada says that our hope is that when Lord Balram is under the effect of Varuni, at that time he will recommend us to Krishna, because when somebody is drunk, they are much more lenient. And so Prabhupada was making that suggestion that when Lord Balram is under the effect of Varuni, at that time our hope is that Lord Balram recommends us to Krishna, that this is a good devotee, and you kindly shower your mercy to him. So, well, these were few things, the presence of Yog Maya and and how in different activities, different circumstances in life, the intervention of Lord Balram is needed. Specifically, Lord Balram's quality is that he destroys the pride, pride of the pride of the non-devotees, but devotee more specifically. So there is this book called Surrender, The Key to Eternal Life by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. I will I'll read some topics from this book which I found relevant to today's two verses. So the number one topic is the gaining parole from illusion. All in this pastime, the illusion is present that Bhishma Dev, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, they are not able to remember such highly qualified all the all the all the Mahajanas are not able to remember the the stature, the position of Anantadev, Lord Balram, Guru Tattva. Why is that? They are into illusion. Now, Duryodhana being an illusion would make sense because he's Kali Yuga personified. But how to get rid, how to gain parole from illusion. So we'll talk about what Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj is saying. That one of the quickest way to gain parole from illusion is to combine humility and determination in devotional service. When we lack humility, we develop the tendency to focus on someone else's fault rather than our own. When others try to show us our faults, we immediately see their observations as stemming from their own imperfections and not our own. Therefore, we conclude that we are okay, but we are not okay because nobody in a material body is okay. For instance, when Lord Indra was cursed by his spiritual master Brahaspati to become a pig, he initially thought of his situation as abominable. But by the time Lord Brahma descended to invite him to ascend once again to his position as king of heaven, Indra refused. Indra now perceived Lord Brahma's invitation as a disturbance to his sense gratification. I have come to remind you what you have forgotten. Srila Prabhupada would sometimes tell the public. Sometimes it is painful to be reminded. Srila Prabhupada's direct approach would disturb some people. The deeper their illusion, the deeper their illusion, the more anger they would feel when they heard the truth. Of the elements in Bhagavad Gita 7.4 which confine us to this material prison, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. The false ego is most pervasive. The false ego of one of the first elements Lord Balram created when he manifested the material universe. The prison environment revolves around false ego, which is impossible to dissolve without transcendental assistance. Who is providing transcendental assistance? Lord Balram. Lord Balram provides transcendental assistance because he's known to be the subduer of pride. Of all the demons that attacked in Vrindavan, they all signified one anartha. So the the anartha of pride, Lord Balram is the destroyer, the subduer. Now the talk about illusion, to forget what is the absolute reality and perceiving what we understand reality to be the truth. So Lord Balram, Lord Brahma is described as the greatest devotee. Even when he was when he was born, he was give, given Bhagavatam by Krishna, and Krishna blessed Lord Balram that he will never be affected by illusion. Even though that blessing was there, Lord Brahma was affected by Yogamaya when he saw Krishna playing in Vrindavan and all the gopas were present, and they were not treating Krishna as Lord Vishnu would be treated by all the Vishnu Dutas in Vaikuntha. So he perceived Lord Krishna not to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's very easy for a conditioned soul to be drawn into illusion and forget the absolute reality. So that's where Guru, Lord Balram, comes in to remind us what we have forgotten. So now, one other topic that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj talked about, which I found relevant, was being deeply aware that Krishna is calling us constantly. We want to know what is blocking our progress in spiritual life. We must take the humble position and desperately search after what is stopping our return home. Let us be eager to perceive whatever weakness we have with the realization that these flaws are responsible for our position in material world. If our envy increases our false ego more and more, if one of our peers is glorified in our presence, we should observe to the degree to which our mind becomes envious. If we feel intense negativity, we can understand that we have a deep level of contamination. We should recognize that this is the reason that we are in the material world in the first place. Experiencing enviousness means our creeper is still very much in neophyte stage. In most cases, a person who becomes captured by Maya Devi did not realize that he or she was in Maya or illusion until it is too late. Many times the devotees are in Maya, but think that they are fine until they undergo such devastation that it becomes impossible to not see their position. So, uh, Lord Balram, the subduer of pride, inculcates, and develops the creeper of humility in the heart of the practicing devotee. So Maharaj is talking about the topic tough love. If we do not have humility, we will simply be a disturbance. Krishna's will gives us so much assistance, but if he sees that we are not taking it, he will help us through tough love, just as a parent should help a child. Sometimes a parent loves a child by embracing her or speaking sweet words to her. But when the child stubbornly ignores her mother or father's guidance, a loving parent chastises her and devises a particular scheme for her rectification. So this is what Lord Balram is known for. That when Lord Balram became very angry when they were all the Kauravas were insulting the Yadus and insulting Krishna and saying that all that Krishna has, all that the Yadu dynasty, Vrishnis are enjoying is actually by the mercy of Kauravas. It's because Kauravas are looking the other way and letting Vrishnis enjoy their little paraphernalia. The Yadus are becoming very proud and are forgetting the reality that they are under the subjugation, under the rule of Kauravas. So when Krishna was being insulted, they were saying that Krishna is not fit to be the king, Krishna is not fit to dress in such a royal manner, and what was jurisdiction does Yadus have to come to our kingdom and tell us what to do and return Samba. And because Lord Balaram came and said, well, although what you have done is not right, but we will forget, just return Samba to us. So when they were insulting, all the Kauravas were insulting Lord Balram was very quiet, and they kept saying and they kept saying, and then Lord Balram was quiet, but his eyes were becoming more and more red, and they were gone after insulting Lord Balram and Yadus, and then Lord Balram says that he starts quoting different references that how Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and how dare they insult Krishna in such manner and say that Krishna is not fit to be the king. And he said that now I will subdue the pride of all the Kauravas. And then when he took the plow and was dragging Hastinapur, they all the Kauravas were restored and were freed from their insanity and pride. So Lord Balram does that again and again, even even at the time of the Mahabharat war, the the Kauravas and Pandavas both were thinking that on whose side Lord Balram will be fighting. So Lord Balram, not Guru, not taking in any sides, Lord Balram left for pilgrimage. And during that pilgrimage, there was a Bhagavatam discourse going on in Naimisharanya, and the speaker did not stand up, and Lord Balram was present, the representative of Vyasadeva. So Lord Balram, even at that time, by just one grass, kusha grass, was killed the speaker of Bhagavatam. And all the all the audience said to Lord Balram that right before you came and killed our speaker, we gave him blessings of having a long life, and it's not right. So Lord Balram says okay, and said, if you want, I can bring him back to life. He said no. So what should we do? He has a son. The son is Sukdev Goswami. You bless him to be the Bhagavatam speaker. And by Lord Balram's blessing, Sukdev Goswami became the speaker of Bhagavatam, Sut Goswami. And the same thing, the dealing with conditioned souls and removing their character defects, and this is what Lord Balram is known for. And in Kali Yuga, Lord Balram comes as Nityanand Prabhu and deals with the conditioned soul in a very humble manner, as he would go with the Haridas Thakur door to door, and would urge the conditioned souls to chant the holy name of Krishna. Lord Balram, who shows so much pride and shows so much power to all the conditioned souls, in the age of Kali, he the same Lord Balram says that you just chant the name of Gauranga and Krishna, and I will become your servant. So Lord Balram deals with conditioned soul in a manner that will be suitable to their Krishna consciousness. So these were the few topics, few points that I wanted to touch in today's class. Uh, been out of touch, uh, giving or facilitating discussions. So we'll get back to track on as time progresses. But if there is any point for today's discussion.
Jai Vibhu Prabhu. One thing to point out is that the position of Bhishmadev throughout the whole pastime, not just this one, but throughout the whole Mahabharata, is very consistent. His character and his position of understanding, his knowledge, his position of being one of the 12 Mahajans is never compromised. And it's very consistent, although there is a lot of, throughout the whole pastime, there's questions that in terms of the choices that he made, but the choices that he makes are always consistent with the position of Mahajan, which is the 12 authorities on the application of Dharma. And so the reason he have to go through all of this is because he was very much protective of the vows that he made that basically defined, that's why he received the name Bhishma, because he was, the vows were so heavy. And in terms of protecting whoever was sitting in that in the throne of Hastinapur. So so the same situations happen over and over and over, all the way to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in which you have to face, Krishna and the Pandavas on the side of the Kauravas. But even then, through all these choices, his character was never in question and his position was never covered. So in this situation specifically, it is in the in in the verses, one of the verses when they came to receive um, Lord Balaram, they all went very happily to receive Balaram, the Kauravas. It is explained in the verse that among the Kauravas, there were some of them, not all, some of them, that have a full understanding of Lord Balaram's position, and they bow down to Lord Balaram. And in the purport, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained Bhishmadev was among, the ones who recognized Lord Balaram's position. So it was not that all of them, obviously not, but a handful. The same situation happened with Krishna as the messenger of peace. That when he displayed his universal form, there were only a handful of the whole Kauravas who were able to see Krishna's position, and among them Bhishmadev, Dronacharya. So he had full understanding. Now the question is the decisions that were made to offend Lord Balaram in such a way, and the biggest offense was to tell Lord Balaram that him and the dynasty and Krishna is like the chew trying to climb to the head. So, it's quite insulting. And Lord Balaram repeats that. I mean, these guys, this is what this is what, they're telling me that we're like the chew, I mean, this is very insulting. Uh, who was doing those offenses were consistently, as you're going to go through the whole Mahabharata, the rest of the Mahabharata, is Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. Dhritarashtra as the king, Duryodhana as the executor of all the, and all those who were follow. But then there's these characters of Bhishmadev, Dronacharya, and Vidura who were horrified and were trying their best to save the Kauravas from destruction. And they remain in that position, very compromising position, trying to benefit and to save the whole dynasty. And they couldn't do that. Well, at the end, the Pandavas were established, and those are Kauravas. But they couldn't save the rest, that big chunk of the dynasty. So their position was never compromised. And so Bhishmadev, so in one sense, different that when Arjuna becomes covered, by Yogamaya, Bhishmadev was very, very aware throughout. Even when Draupadi being disrobed, he was helpless because of the choice that he made,
Vows.
you know. Even when he had to fight the Pandavas in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he was helpless. But even throughout, he was honored by Krishna himself, you know, at the end, because his position was never compromised. So that's one point.
Yes, even at the point when he was passing, leaving his body, Krishna came to see him. Yes. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि।